Good evening, Whale Fam. How's everybody doing? Hopefully, we are having a fabulous Friday evening. As DC said in the chat, you are definitely in for a treat. Today, we are doing a session of the Metaverse Makers, Movers, and Shakers with our special guest, Alxo, who's also Alex Hansen on Twitter, and he is an absolute rock star in the space here. I'm super excited to have him join us. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. I've never had an audience this big before, so forgive me if I stumble over some words. And I'm also somewhat regretting choosing Friday night. It was a long week, but I'm gonna put the rest of the energy I have left into this, and then crash for maybe 24 hours. We'll see.
It will be a good nap afterward, that's for sure. I'd say Friday night is definitely an exciting time here in the whale community, and DC has linked your Twitter in the chat there for everybody to hit you up with a follow. I'm super excited because we've known each other, gosh, it's what, like 3 years at this point?
Yes.
Through the CryptoKitties community.
It feels like forever, but also not very long at the same time.
So 3 years in the crypto space is forever. That's really, I think, that's about the max of foreverness. My entire career in the crypto space, in fact. So that's, I think, a good place to start, actually, given that that was my beginning in the crypto space. Tell us about your beginning here. How did you get into crypto and ETH, and like, what's the beginning of the tale?
Oh man, I haven't explored this memory in a while, but let's see, it was maybe 2014. My boss at Microsoft was telling me about this rig he put together to mine Bitcoin, and it just kind of really jumped out at me. So the next thing I did is I went on to, instead of building a rig, just because it was just too overwhelming to me, I went to, what was it, Butterfly Labs or something? I think they're defunct now, and ordered a Bitcoin miner. And I think like 6 months later it showed up, because it was later found out that instead of what they call device testing, it was just them running the device and mining Bitcoin with the brand new hardware before sending them out to customers. But anyway, I got it, and I was running it at home, and it was too loud, so I started running it from the office and just let my coworkers listen to it all day. And I think I ran it for like 6 months, and it made a Bitcoin, which I should have kept until today, but back then it was $1,000, so I paid for the device at the time. And then I also noticed at the same time there was this big arbitrage opportunity between exchanges, like Coinbase and then Mt. Gox. So I had started this cycle of buying from Coinbase, transferring to Mt. Gox, and then selling, and then repeating, because the prices over there were 20% higher than the other exchanges, which should have been a red flag. But it was a new space, so I figured anything could happen. But then, of course, that exchange went down with my Bitcoin. And then I kind of took a 3-year hiatus from crypto. That kind of just ruined it for me. But then in 2017, everything was picking up again, which I think everyone was talking about crypto at that point when it was at its peak, and which was a good signal that the crash was about to happen. But the other thing that happened at the time was CryptoKitties had gone viral, and they got my attention just for the humor of it. But I went in, I bought a couple cats, and then I sat on them for a couple months, and then once the network slowed down after the initial traffic was there, I actually got into the community and studying how it was built and all the genetics behind these CryptoKitties. And I kind of just fell in love with it, and it kind of inspired me to learn more about blockchain at a deeper level and learn how to build smart contracts. And over the following years, I've worked on a few different projects. My first contract I wrote was one called Math, which all it is each token doesn't have any metadata except for the token ID. It's literally just a number on Ethereum, and what you can do is you can add two of these tokens together to mint a new one, assuming that. So like the first two are when I created the contract, I had to automatically mint token 1, and then the only way to mint token 2 was to add 1 and 1 together to mint 2, and then 1 plus 2 is 3, and then it kept going. And then there was that was about the same time the Token Smart community was kicked off by Jim and friends.
These are the math on the OpenSea search here.
Yeah, and you can see the low numbers are kind of ugly because the background is if you take the number of that token and you convert it to the hex color, that's the color of the number, and then the background is the complementary color. So all the low numbers are this ugly yellow, but if you get into those bigger numbers, yeah, you get some more vibrant colors. But literally the only metadata for the token is the number, and then when it grinders on OpenSea, I just added it to just spruce it up with some colors, and then also some attributes. So like if you open one, it'll tell you if it's even or odd, and other things like that. And then in the description, it actually prints it out into ones and zeros. If you expand the description up above, what's that block of text? Does that expand? Or you have to scroll down.
Zeros there.
Yeah, so it turns out that an integer on Ethereum is 256 bits, and you can arrange those bits into 16 by 16. So people started doing pixel art by adding certain numbers together, and then that's when someone in the community named Kai, he's pretty well known, but he had the idea of
his genome, and actually just had a big project released earlier today.
Yeah, he's awesome. He reached out with this idea to combine. You can take that 16 by 16 pixel art and take one, make that the red layer, take another one, make that the blue layer, and take another one, make that the green layer, and superimpose them with RGB art. And then, so with that, we made the RGB token, where it just superimposes the RGB and makes 16 by 16 color art with a possibility of 8 colors, depending on the combination of red, blue, and green. So that was a lot of fun. So back when, even when gas was super cheap, it really added up to build the exact pixel you wanted out of just adding integers together.
Got on the screen now. It looked like there were a couple different RGBs.
Yeah, this is the one.
Mm-hmm. This is the one.
So you can see Devil made that neon cat. That one's really impressive. And yeah, you had to every pixel on these were carefully calculated by adding together integers, and these numbers are really big. Yeah, I think that was Kai himself who made those.
Wow, And
And
a punk.
he made that punk too, yeah. Just out of zeros and ones. So that's what I like about these, because each of these, really on the blockchain, it's just 3 numbers superimposed in binary to make these color images. So these projects were kind of like a minimalist take on the blockchain. Another inspiration for these two is Jim in the community was actively developing Avastars and really pushing for having all the metadata and just everything blockchain based, whereas most NFTs out there have like supplementary centralized content, like the images and in some cases even more than that. So he was really pushing for that vision, and between CryptoKitties and then Jim and others pushing for on-chain metadata, it kind of inspired me to do math and RGB, like just taking it to the most minimalistic form. And then also at the same time, Nate Alex, I believe he's the guest next week. He
Yes.
came out with the chain faces at the same time, and then a couple guys, Bombard and Gamer.
Yeah,
How do you?
the word project. I think I slaughter his name every time because it's like
I should ask him.
GMUGR.
Yeah. So what was really fun is they cloned that math contract, and I mean there wasn't much there. It was like 5 lines of code, and they made it so it worked with characters. So that got even
Made words.
And then made words. Yeah.
I own
and
Fairy
that got
Tale.
really popular. Fairy Tale. Oh man, that's a keeper. And
It's right there.
this was a lot of fun. People tend to like words better than numbers, so this one got a lot more volume, but I got in on it too.
Make pictures with the numbers, which is amazing.
Yeah, some people did ASCII art and stuff, so that was a lot of fun. And someone even within the past few months extended words so that you can combine them into sentences too. And then since all these, we called them micro NFTs at the time, and since all these were coming out at the same time, we decided to do a collaboration project called Tune, where you can take your math token, and that would represent your token ID, your RGB art, and that would be like the well, depending on what it is, it either looks like a hat for the chain face, or it looks like a thought or a dream bubble, and then a chain face to be wearing the hat. So yeah, if you pull up Tune, there, I think that's my favorite with combining all these different micro NFTs into like a composability. And the nice thing though is it's all on chain, so the chain face is just ASCII art that Nate Alex built, and then you got the word. Oh yeah, and then the word is the name of the token. Can you find it? I think this is called Tune.
Yeah, it's not populating.
Did they pull us? Oh, Tune as like a cartoon.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I was blurry. I couldn't see.
This is all right. There we go. Much better.
So we had some creative people, but you can see there's only 42. So we got pretty niche because there was kind of a barrier to create these pixel arts, because it took hundreds and thousands of transactions to get the pixels in the right place you wanted, and then compose them all. And then since they were so minimalistic and it was just playing with ones and zeros, there wasn't even a like application built. People are building these just by making function calls on the contract itself, like through Etherscan or my Ether wallet.
Wow.
So Yeah, there's some winners here. Nate made the golfing bears one.
Oh, nice.
It's one of my favorites.
He's got a little crown. The Avastar logo here.
Yeah, I think that one's owned by Jim. So
named metadata.
So he got the word metadata, that Avastar's logo in pixel art, plus that chain face, and combined them all into this token. And then if you open that, the ID of the token itself is the math token. So these aren't sequential or anything. So it looks like his number, the token ID is what, LEET 1337. I can see it in the URL.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so token number LEET is metadata. So anyway, this was a lot of fun. And then since then, Avastar has launched, and Jim has found a lot of success in that in his team. And I've been working with him lately on that project, kind of doing a transition from the previous developer, and also teaming up with Jim in NFT 42 for some fun NFT platforms going forward. I didn't talk to him before this about what could be shared or not, so I'll just leave it at that.
There are awesome things in the works.
Yes.
I'll have to get Jim on
moving on.
That way he can share the details about the awesome things.
Yeah, so graduating from these micro NFTs up to some big platforms coming up. So it's really exciting. And that's just Ethereum that we have. Then there's this whole era of Flow that's starting now with Top Shot. And then you and I collaborated over the summer in the Flow Open Worlds builders, and we built a prototype for adding autographs to NBA Top Shot moments. And we got some technical and legal barriers ahead of us, but are looking forward to launching that too.
I think I can find the link to the video to share that as well. Oh, goodness. I don't want to hear myself talk. Just kidding. Sorry, friends. But this is, yes, as you were pointing out, this is the demo that we created when we submitted for the hackathon. And it's pretty exciting because it's, there's not a whole lot yet on Flow. So in order to build on Flow, I think that maybe is an interesting thing, Alex, to discuss, because you've obviously had a lot of experience kind of building on ETH and tweaking contracts and leveraging, things that exist and building new contracts on ETH to make your little micro NFTs. But what did it take to transition from ETH to Flow, like knowledge-wise?
That's a really good question. It made my brain turn into mush when I first looked at Flow, because it's just a completely different paradigm. With Ethereum contracts, the ledger is centralized. I know Ethereum's decentralized, but the ledger itself is centralized, where if you look at any NFT, it's essentially an array that's just in a variable. Whereas on Flow, it's different. It tries to mimic an actual wallet, it kind of is analogous to like a physical wallet, where instead of the central ledger where you know where everything is, everyone kind of has their own wallet, and they can have they call them resources, but they're NFTs in their wallet, and they're not necessarily in this shared ledger. Of course, you can go and look at the history of every transaction on the blockchain to figure out what's in everyone's wallet, but just from an organizational standpoint, it just takes decentralization to a whole nother level. And so the programming language for it is completely different. It's Cadence, and it's it's seen some success. Even Facebook is adopting it for their Libra project.
And it's kind of interesting because Cadence is a language that was created specifically to create the Flow blockchain. And
yeah, and Facebook's gonna just use it because they went kind of in a similar direction where instead of having these like shared ledger based contracts, you want it to be resource based, so that instead of just arrays keeping track of all this metadata, you can have objects owning other objects. So like now, like for example, there were kitty hats on Ethereum, but it was really just an array that points to an integer that represents the hat. Whereas on Flow, it's actually the kitty can't have a hat, and the hat isn't in anyone's wallet. It's on the kitty. So yeah, it's just a completely different thing to wrap your head around. At least it was for me.
we present the kitty hat here for everyone as an example. As kitty hats were a third-party extension that you could purchase NFTs, and what were those ERC20s that then got added to your CryptoKitties, which are ERC721s. And so with that, it having that third-party extension, it was awesome, and the community could create their own assets and, you know, dress up their kitties, but it required somebody to be maintaining the extension, and once that stopped being a thing, then the kitty hats stopped visibly existing. So
I didn't know about that drama.
it was it. I mean, I think a part because a lot of the kitty hats were, you know, potentially copywritten, like the Superman costume, for example,
yep.
things that could, you know, end up having some legal ramifications. So I think that was a part of what was going on there. But let's see, I have another example of a kitty hat. But yeah, so the tokens themselves still exist in people's wallets, but they're not integrated with the CryptoKitties site. And your kitties, there's the ownership of the item, like it might be on the kitty, but if you take it off, then it's just gone forever. They're not a reusable sort of token. So that's one of, I think, the upsides to Flow and the extensibility is that you are able to attach and then detach tokens without losing them. That's something that we had seen through our testing with the autographs as well.
Yeah, and then outside of just learning how to build something on Flow is just the architecture of Flow itself allows, because even if it wasn't resource based, the way they designed the nodes makes it so that it can scale without these insane gas prices we're seeing on ETH. I mean, it's still yet to have the same volume as ETH to prove out that point, but the idea behind it seems pretty solid, and it's looking good so far, where instead of every node being able to do the collection, execution of the functions, and the verification. Did I say everything? Collection, execution, verification.
Taking, and I think it's important to understand why that makes a difference, right? Because instead of having a bunch of jack of all trades type nodes that have to do all the things, there are now specialists.
Yes, exactly. Which, I mean, which is a nice thing if you're trying to be efficient. even for non-technical things, just specialize and trade essentially. And that's exactly the experiment they're trying right now, and it's so far successful, and it's getting a lot of hype and partnerships from industries across the map. So I think even T-Mobile is going to start hosting flow nodes across the world, and Binance is building their stable token on it. And that's just the first two that come to mind. So there's a lot of potential there. I wish I could buy it here in the US.
Yeah, the regulation on tokens, unfortunately, being in the US, I'm in the same boat. Would just watch everybody and celebrate their success and build cool things in the meantime.
I guess yeah, exactly. But I guess the silver lining is that we can still kind of invest in flow indirectly with the tokens that are built on top of it. So you got Top Shot is obviously the big one right now. That one's leading all NFTs, and it's essentially the only application on Flow right now, and it's already outpacing everything on Ethereum.
Like breaking new records every day at this point.
Yeah, so that's a good sign for UFC and Dr. Seuss apps that are coming, and those are just from Dapper Labs. You have third-party applications popping up, like they just minted all the Kickstarter tokens for Chain Monsters. I know Kai invested in that too, and we're kind of excited for this kind of MMO version of Pokemon where you can dump in your thousands of hours of grinding and playtime, but you actually get something that you own out of it instead of accidentally wiping your file on your Game Boy and having to start over. You can actually persist these things for forever, as long as the network's running. So that's really exciting. Other big projects are like Genies, which looks like it's going to be big because they've already got Cardi B and Justin Bieber on that platform. So yeah, so even though we can't buy Flow, we can. There's a lot of big potential projects on Flow that might have the same sort of value growth.
But that's an interesting point, right? From a collector standpoint, because I will say, like, of the NFT collections people have, I think yours is one of the most impressive that I've seen. You have all sorts of amazing things, and I'm jealous of your kitties. But, looking into the future, definitely, I think that based on, maybe your past experiences, it seems like you are always kind of looking for the next big thing, or kind of, in this case there's a bunch of things, so kind of looking for where things are going to be instead of settling with where things are right now. Is that accurate, or what's your collecting advice as far as that goes?
Yeah, I don't know if I classify myself as a collector, but more like a hoarder. I've always been that way. Like when I was a kid, I collected rocks and Pokemon cards and basketball cards. It just takes up so much space. So this was just a perfect fit. And I guess when you get to the digital area, you don't have that limitation of space. So every paycheck was just going straight into these collectibles, just because I like them a lot, and also it's a lot more fun than investing in stocks that I guess you don't really get anything out of it other than voting, but I never did that anyway in the stock market. So not very much utility there. So yeah, not only are each of these NFTs unique, but depending on what the community builds around it, like for CryptoKitties they call it the Kittyverse. Every new experience adds value to your items, and like just you can actually have more fun with it than any other type of investment.
I think something that we both are really into, because as you mentioned, whether it's collecting or hoarding, the fact that you're getting things that bring you joy. Like, it's super awesome, to be able to find stuff and flip stuff and make a profit. But really, like, one of the magical things about the metaverse and NFTs is the fact that, like, you can have these super awesome things and, show them off and geek out about them with, other similar like-minded people. And it's really amazing. So, on that note, do you have any favorite NFTs you'd like to share with the group? Things that you're just like,
You're gonna have to make me pick a favorite in front of them.
You just
They're
show us a whole bunch of favorites too. It doesn't have to be the most favorite, just things you really love.
my other NFTs are gonna get jealous. Sorry, I'm writing an airdrop, and I haven't done this in months, so I'm trying to remember. I'm probably gonna fail.
Oh, we're stuck with the.
I can't do mine. I don't have any whale to drop. Sorry, guys. I tried. So favorite NFTs. I think I gotta go with CryptoKitty Founders. They're just the original. It's the first NFT standard, and those were the first 100 NFTs. Were the first. How do you classify them? Because there was unique tokens before CryptoKitties in several different forms, but this was the first standard that really took off. Yeah, the ERC 721, which it just is the first time. It was kind of the gateway into bringing everything in this metaverse mainstream. So
I've got the founders up on the screen now, which are all kitties with the ID numbers 2 through 100.
Yes. And they're the only Generation Zeros that are Jaguars. So that gives them utility as well. But you also don't want to breed them, because then that,
changes.
They get slower each time they breed. So you don't want to keep them mint. But you also want to get. It's the only way to get like henna Generation 1 cats. So it's a tough choice to breed them or not.
Oh, we've got your kitty collection up, and this is one of your founders, right? How many do you have?
I think I have 4 at the moment.
Let's see, we can.
I guess you can sort, age. I think you want age.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, there's my 4 guys. My favorite one, though, I guess, would be 45 because of the beard, and it's got the chestnut eye color. I think there's only like 2 or 3 that have that combination.
The super classic combination for the founders. The chestnut.
Yeah, the only thing it's missing is the simple eyes. But yeah, all those traits, simple, beard, jaguar, and chestnut, are the 4. The founders are the only Generation 0 that have those. So it's kind of like it's almost like a misprint or like a hack to use those for breeding, because you can't breed certain kitties without those.
And yours are all in mint condition. They've had no babies.
Yeah, I did have one that I was minting once a week, but as soon as minting was not, as soon as breeding was not affordable, I decided to trade him in for for some top shots. And I took a hiatus from breeding because I think everyone did.
Oh my goodness, we missed the kitty.
And,
It's been so long.
yeah, crypto kitties on flow can't come soon enough.
Right.
That's gonna be tough for me to decide which top shots to sell, so I can just breed not nonstop kitties on flow. But I'm ready.
Times. Like, look at the rest of these kitties that you have. Like, these are the golden dog cat.
That was the first big purchase I made in crypto. It was like 10 ETH for that gold dog, and my blood pressure was really high that day.
A big kitty.
And that, yeah, and I can't remember how much of the Ethereum was back then. I think it was like after the first dip, so maybe 500 each. So
yeah.
$5,000 for a cat. Yeah, that's
yes.
That's a lot to spend. But I think it was worth it. I think they go for a lot more than that now. Or I don't even know if any are even listed.
There are only
16 of them.
Total. You could buy one for 100 ETH, it looks like.
Oh yeah, that's a steal.
Oh, or
there's
20.
a 20 ETH right there. There you go.
But I mean,
but Ethereum's way more now too.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. But I'm gonna hold on to it, because if I sell it, then I won't have one. So why would I do that?
Times. So you've got about 1,500 kitties more than I do, it looks like.
Oh.
In this
account. Sounds like a challenge. I gotta get back into it before you catch up with me.
Yeah, mine aren't breeding right now either, because, well, gas prices are absurd, and I keep giving kitties away. That's a thing too.
Oh yeah, you're more generous than me.
Do like the marble streams, and I'm like, I'm gonna rehome some kitties, and everyone can love them.
Yeah, I guess this is a good opportunity for me to plug what I think is the best crossover between CryptoKitties and Dapper's current big project. Top Shot is the Swish Fancy.
Oh yes.
And that's my biggest collection of any NFTs, because I bred over 1,000 of them trying to get the exclusive Volcant cat. There were 20 of them, I think, that would randomly pop out of a kitty egg on the path to ID number 1 million. So you can see all these are the IDs are slightly under 1 million. So I chose to go for the basketball ones just because at the time, this was a couple years ago, it was my favorite fancy, and I was also chasing this exclusive. And I ended up, I think, hitting 1 or 2 of them, of the Volcats too.
Many of the Volcats also swishes.
Yeah, I think one of them actually, I think one of the Volcats actually, if you look at the genetics, is actually a swish. So it's a.
So that's kind of. That'll happen if the kitty has a specific genes to be a fancy, because the genetics only work during the breeding time frames. But because it hit the exclusive instead, the exclusive overrode, and that's why it got that part instead.
I would have been really upset if the fancy overrode the exclusive. Because there's 2,880 of these, whereas there was only 20 of the exclusive. So I'm glad that took precedence. But still, though, this is my favorite fancy, and I've been trying to theorize on what was the inspiration for this fancy. I was looking at the jersey color, and it looks like it was Vancouver Grizzlies jersey, because Dapper Labs is up in Vancouver. And then I looked at who played for Vancouver Grizzlies with the jersey number 10, and it's Mike Bibby. So that's what I've been going. That's my story that I've been sticking with.
You've been sticking with. And
And
Katie,
then I've been just slowly acquiring these as people list them, just because apparently I can't get enough of them.
you'll have them. And Katie wants to know if you have one Swish for every semifinals Marcus Smart Top Shot that you own.
Yeah, but we'll see. It's not even close yet, but maybe someday. So I think there's only 2,200 base misprint Marcus Smarts, and then 275 rare ones. So I'd have to get over half of them to to get close to 1,000. So,
Doable though.
but I'll take the challenge, sure. And then the other fun thing, or kind of fun lore around this kitty, is at the same time this came out, there was this supposed partnership with Steph Curry, where they had a few Steph Curry exclusive cats that came out the same time the Swish cat was announced. But I don't know, there was some communication issue where the team wasn't actually in contact with Steph Curry or something, and those ended up getting pulled from the site. But maybe with Top Shot, maybe he'll be back into it actually, and then they'll finally release those. That'd be kind of a cool end to that story.
It would be almost made a cat pun. I was gonna be like, perhaps.
Yeah, because those are pretty cool looking kitties too. They all look like Steph Curry, and one was him in a chef hat, barbecuing. I think you can see him on Kitty Helper. And then similarly, there was another cat that got pulled. It was the dragon, the Chinese dragon, for the Year of the Dragon. But they pulled that because the launch in China didn't go through for whatever reason.
I'd say like it's a very interesting space, like doing development in the blockchain, because everything moves so quickly, right? Like you get things confirmed and you're moving forward, and then suddenly the environment changes or some sort of, licensing changes happen, and it requires a lot of quick pivots, which is, historically something that we've seen with quite a few projects in the space. And it's interesting having that perspective, in this case, where you've been through it and, kind of been part of the community as it happened. Which,
Yeah.
that gives you, looking forward into new projects. Like, are you more flexible with projects as, they have to make these pivots, or how does that, I guess, affect your experience? Because I think that we also have a lot of newer folks who maybe haven't gone through that as much.
Of like where to jump in, or sorry, I was looking at all these cat pictures people are posting, and that I think I missed the question.
Yeah, so with the, as I mentioned, there were a lot of, quick pivots or things, changes that can be made in projects because, the space moves so fast, and a lot of times, something that's confirmed one day, suddenly, licensing changes or there's new regulations, and, you have to make those. So as a community member in the space, going through those experiences historically, because it's been, 2-3 years now since these examples you noted had happened. How do you think that kind of colors your viewpoint as, new projects moving forward are maybe running into some speed bumps? Does it give you...
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so you definitely learn a lot of patience in this industry. And I just have to constantly remind myself that what developers are building in the space is really unprecedented. So and then also, getting involved myself and seeing what it takes to go into uncharted territory. It helped me be a little bit more understanding on all these issues, and it seems like every issue that could happen does happen, and that's just where we are in the life cycle of this industry. It'll get better, but definitely patience pays off. Otherwise, it gets too frustrating, and you can't get too deep into it if you just don't take your time. Yeah.
Hard to know what you'll run into going places that people haven't been before. Which is
exactly. And then, yeah, I mean, and software is already hard enough. So adding a new niche software, which is becoming less niche, just makes it that much harder.
So it looks like we're actually getting close to the hour point here in our chat. And I don't want to take up all your Friday night, especially since it's been such a long week. But I was going to see if anybody in the audience, I mean, I love all the cat pictures we're putting in there, but does anybody have any questions?
I love them too. That so much that
cats.
My brain is exploding with all these cat pictures.
We're a fun group here, that's for sure. We enjoy our gifts very much. But there's also typing. So perhaps you'll have questions. And I think it's interesting because for you've done so much in this space. You know, like you started mining coins and then you got into CryptoKitties, actually the same reason I did, because of the puns and the humor. And, you know, then started developing things. So you've really, you know, like done, I think, just about everything that you can do in the metaverse, right? Doing, you know, the development of projects and being part of communities. And
I try, yeah. I don't know. I guess maybe I have some sort of attention deficit disorder or something, but I always like to gravitate towards new shiny things. So I dabbled in like the metaverse, like land space for a bit. Built a few things in crypto voxels. Been sitting on my Decentraland plot for a while. It looks like I might have to find some time to build something there. Got involved in the roll community for a while, and looking to reboot that token. So I guess that's another plug is on the roll platform, the social currency. There's some Alxo token, which I tried to drop here, but didn't work out.
Find another server to drop tokens.
Yeah, but you can use those to buy and trade those math tokens we talked about earlier, and those tune tokens on OpenSea. And look out for new projects in the future that will integrate with those too. But the social money is really interesting. That's what the whale token is. That's the platform the whale token is on as well. So definitely good company there. And I believe I think Akon, the singer, is on there as well. So they're getting some mainstream attention as well.
That's super exciting. And so we do have some questions in the chat also.
This is actually my cat, though, the one that Nutmeg keeps posting. She's in the other room taking a picture of my cat and sharing it.
So cute.
That's Fiona.
Very cute. Like we've got all sorts of kitties, and also your real cat now.
And Fiona likes snacks. Fiona's hobby is snacks. And I have another cat here in the room with me taking a nap.
Here, let's get.
So I got a horde of real cats in addition to digital cats.
Fiona on the screen there. There we go.
Yeah, she's a star.
have her start in the events here. So it looks like we had some
Oh
questions.
yeah, questions.
Yeah, we have questions. I mean, but we get distracted by cats, which is absolutely a priority for sure. So Demon Tiger wanted to know when you bought your very first crypto kitty. I know that we covered that earlier, but I think that she perhaps missed that part, and it's really exciting, like the beginning of CryptoKitties. So
Yeah, my FOMO'd real hard when I heard about CryptoKitties. I heard about it on my birthday that year, so I waited until the next day when it got even more expensive to jump in. So I bought a Generation Zero for 8 Ethereum, and it was, I think it's violet. It's a violet Generation Zero.
December 2017.
Yeah, December 4th, 2017. And that was, I think, my first NFT. No, it must have been my first NFT because that was only NFT at the time. And before that, I was just day trading with Ethereum and Bitcoin and some of those penny cryptos as well that are no longer with us.
So
But kitties have stayed strong.
they have. And so there was a question actually following up on that. Where Governator said he feels like he missed the boat on CryptoKitties and wanted to know if there's an entry point anymore without a big wallet. Which is
I'd say yes. I think the biggest barrier is the gas right now. So someone asked me this on Twitter a couple days ago, and I think it's worth it getting in now because it's almost for sure they're gonna build CryptoKitties on Flow. I think it's all but announced.
Yeah.
Officially.
And it's in development.
Yeah. So
the baby of Dapper Labs. Everybody loves CK, and there's so much nostalgia that it will be on Flow.
So you can even compare the volume that Top Shot's getting compared to CryptoKitties. Of course, it's a whole different audience, but one of the reasons that CryptoKitties, when it was, I think it would have seen the amount of volume that we're seeing today with Top Shot if it weren't for the limitations of Ethereum. So once it launches on Flow and brings in that whole Flow community, the sky's the limit there. So I guess you can look at, you're taking a risk paying the extra gas now, but I'm assuming all of your NFTs would carry over and then have more utility and more value on Flow. If you don't want to deal with gas, then you can also take the other risk and just wait and see how it turns out first. Honestly, I don't think there's really a way to go wrong with NFTs, so why wait?
We will love all of the things because they're awesome. And so from there, there have been a lot of questions. I think that we'll go with Nutmeg's question next, which is asking if you think there are still ways in for beginners, especially with gas prices being this high. What do you see the solution to those getting into NFTs and such?
Well, you could do my strategy, which was just to FOMO in and overspend, but when you do overspend, you kind of learn something from it. So I think I'd say dive in and get your feet wet and kind of learn and develop a strategy from there. All over the space, you can see different collectors with all different types of strategies, and most of them are doing pretty well. So I guess I guess I don't know. I'm not very risk averse, so but if you are, I don't know.
Alternatives like side chains that maybe can help alleviate some of this gas issues, or looking at alternative to ETH, like Flow, as more things are developed there. Those are potential ways in as well, but definitely, I'd say based on what you're sharing, it sounds like a lot of do your own research, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I love about NFTs is they're kind of fun. So if you're gonna invest in something, might as well have fun with it. And if it doesn't work out, at least at least you enjoyed yourself. The worst case would be is investing in something that you don't like and then it doesn't work out. So yeah, I'm here mostly just to have a good time, and the kind of growth in my portfolio is a nice side effect of that.
So that actually kind of leads into one of Decryptolorian's questions, asking if you are attached to your Top Shot players, or are those moments more of an investment for you?
It definitely started out as an investment, but just like I should have known, any other NFT I've bought, I've struggled to list or sell any of them, and it's no different for the Top Shots because I'm a bigger NBA fan now than I was when I was a kid, and I'm getting more attached to them day by day. So I don't know if I'll ever sell any. Maybe I'll sell a few to pay down some of this debt I've built up by taking these high risk investments in NFTs. But beyond that, it's always painful to lose some of your collection. So
Yeah, I have that
and then also, I mean,
same attachment.
what would you even sell it for? Cash is overrated.
Like, what am I going to do with money? Just buy more things anyway.
Yeah, I would instantly have seller's remorse and want to buy back in. So, but maybe I can get my cat some more snacks too. So maybe there's a middle ground.
Snacks are important. We had a couple questions also, more on the technical side of things.
Mhm.
And so people were wondering, for someone newer to the blockchain development space, what resources did you suggest? And there's actually two people that kind of go together, and also wondering if there are communities that make development fun for beginning programmers. So resources or communities you'd recommend for development.
Well, I'm a really big fan of Flow and the vision it's going in. So the first place I would recommend people check out is the playground on Flow, where you can. It's just in your browser you can. It has some demos where you can run Flow contracts and then make minor tweaks and build your own contracts there. And they got great documentation where you can learn the cadence language. It looks a lot different than Solidity for Ethereum, but it does take some inspiration from Swift and Rust. If you've programmed with those languages, I hadn't before, so it was even a bigger learning curve. But um, if you're looking to build NFTs, it looks. I mean, just looking at the numbers that Top Shot's pulling, it seems like Flow is the future there. And you won't be held back with gas fees.
Flow is definitely a fun place to play.
Yep, there's the link
There's a
right there
playground.
on Flow/play. It's even called Play, so
Yes, very good.
can't go wrong with that.
So then one final question for you tonight.
Mhm.
Decryptolorian wants you to tell us what's next for you, but just one thing. So, like, what's the next exciting thing that you're allowed to reveal? Because I know there are NFT 42 secrets.
Yes, beyond the NFT 42 secrets, well, and I already mentioned this too, but the project you and I worked on is getting the autographs for NBA Top Shot launched because I don't know. Secretly, I think it might get us access to some of the players, and I'd love to just chat with them and talk about Top Shot and NBA in general with them, and then also get some autographs along the way. So
We've been
I'm excited
seeing
to
more
launch that.
players in the space too.
Yes, Josh Hart from the Pelicans is going to be opening some packs tomorrow on Twitch. So we actually have players in there, and I think Mark Cuban has a account, so even team owners are in there. So a lot of hype. So the other fun thing, I guess, on what's next is the platform we're building for the autographs is generic on Flow. So with apps like UFC coming out, it would just kind of be there out of the gate. So that's why I think it's so important to take the time and build it right the first time so that it'll work for all these apps.
I'm gonna say even with the Vive platform and people minting art on the blockchain, you could theoretically have your favorite artist sign one of their pieces.
Exactly. Yep. Or even if you want, you could, since you can verify the address of who autographed your NFT. You can even just autograph your friends, and if they try to make like a if your friend signs it as like LeBron James or something, it's not actually, it's a fake, but it's just kind of a fun inside thing you can do with your friends is sign each other's NFTs. And then on the generic note is it can be more than just autographs. We can extend this platform to be audio recordings, so players can attach commentary, custom messages, notes. I don't know. It's just kind of almost anything.
Blockchain.
Yeah. Or even like ticket stubs. I can imagine we're not too far from having like event tickets on the blockchain. So, being able to, if you're at the game where that moment happened, having that linked and just kind of keeping that memorabilia just on the chain, digitally. So, yeah, I think we're just getting started with what's possible here.
So much potential.
All the potential.
Yes. And it's super exciting, like being a part of that, which is, I think, maybe one of the most magical things about this space, right? Is it's kind of like the Wild West right now. Like if you want to be a part of something, there's really nothing to stop you.
Except decision fatigue.
Yes.
There's just so many interesting things to get into. There's just not enough time or energy to spend all the time you want on something. So
FOMO is real.
You have to make really tough decisions on where to spend your time and your money. So that's the hardest part.
I agree. We just need to not sleep ever.
that would help too.
Do all the things.
Or somehow slow down time.
If you figure it out, let me know, because I would totally jump on board there. So,
well,
I will say that we have had a super awesome adventure together tonight, hearing all about your experience joining the crypto space and kind of all these awesome projects you've been a part of and participating in and building, and moderating, because you're also one of the moderators in the Top Shot server, and kind of keeping everything on the up and up, which is amazing. And I love the fact that we get to participate in so many of these communities together. And I'm glad that you've been able to come to the Whale server and share these experiences with the community here as well.
Yes,
definitely cooler to hear it from you instead of me just telling everybody about it.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, and also just thank you for everything you do in the community. You're just all over the place and just making this whole industry better as a result and more fun. So, yeah, I'm a big fan. So,
Thank
and I'm
you. So
honored
the
to be here.
feeling is
So,
mutual. We're all going to be awesome together.
yes, everything is awesome. But yeah, and yeah, thanks for inviting me. This is the first time I've done anything live like this, so appreciate that. And I did do a podcast with the First Mint earlier this week. That was fun too, but that was pre-recorded, so a little bit different. Yeah, so thanks for listening in and dealing with my fatigue. I
When we
definitely,
get the interesting conversations, though, right? Because you don't have as much of a filter.
that's true. That's true.
So
Maybe
we're
next
winning.
time. Maybe next time I'll do some drinking beforehand and see how that goes.
More
We
stories.
we can do a happy hour.
We could. I would be down for that. We'll definitely have you back for this. Start a whole
Awesome.
new series.
Yeah, and yeah, I'll definitely be back next week to hear from Nate. He's a legend, so can't wait for that as well.
Indeed. It'll be good stuff.
And he actually chipped in on that autograph project too. So small world.
I like that about this space. Like, no matter where you go, you have friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we are doing cool things together. And I look forward to continuing all of these adventures as we move forward. So with that, we'll, I think, end the stream for this evening. But it has been absolutely amazing having you here, Alex. I appreciate you taking the time, especially after such a busy week, having the whale community stop by to hang out and learn some stuff and get a new perspective on the metaverse as well. That's been good. And we will do another session on Wednesday with Nate Alex as we're moving forward. So thank you,
Awesome. Yeah.
everyone. And Alex, and especially, it has been awesome having you here, and we'll do this again for sure.
Yes. Yes. Thanks again. And yeah, I can talk about this thing. I don't know if you call it talking, but I can ramble about this stuff for forever. So
That's my favorite.
anytime.
Awesome.
All right.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.